crushing feeling in my chest about how in 1962, Carl Matthews and I used to walk down this street, right past a house that is now a strange shade of purple, and how back then it was just white with peeling paint in what was a neighborhood of blacks and whites and Mexicans. And poor. So poor. Then I get to the red brick church with the sparse grass, and I smile, as always, when I see those stained glass windows from the outside. The stained glass has gone through a whole lot, so I let myself think about Miss Abigail and Carl Matthews and Ella May and spaghetti meals for the poor and what I learned so very long ago. I walk into the sanctuary because the church is unlocked on Saturday mornings, and there's a group of teenagers working downstairs. But I go into the sanctuary with the pretty stained glass, and I walk up to the altar. It isn't a big church. It only holds about 300 people when it's jam-packed. But today, it's empty. I get on my knees before the altar, and I cry. I am swept back almost 40 years when, as a teenager, I found myself in the same position in this sanctuary. Then I think of another moment in this church, and I can almost hear the voices singing and see the women wiping their eyes as they look at the painting. Abby has begged me 100 times in the past 6 months to write down the story, or at least to tell it again so that she can record it. She's pregnant and suddenly becoming very family-oriented and wanting our history to be preserved. But of course, I haven't written a thing down. I don't write anymore. But Abby is right. The story bears telling and saving for 100 different reasons. I guess I'm praying and crying together. A lot of times my prayers are like that. Of course, that's when I see the painting. It's been hanging there by the alcove of the church ever since the spring of 1963. Just seeing the painting there and thinking about the other one downstairs always makes everything come flooding back. So I decide right there, in between wiping my eyes and staring at the stained glass and the oil painting, that I will go back and dictate the whole story to Abby, even if it takes a month or 2 or even 3. I'll stay with her in that house, as she's begged me to do, while Bill is off at the convention next week, and we'll sip the hot tea and latte, and she can hold the recorder and change the tapes, and I'll talk, and she can type it up later on the computer. So here I am, 3 days later, comfortably installed on Abby's black leather couch, which has been mercifully spared from yellow and white paint. Bill is gone, and Abby with her round belly is sitting across from me in this great old rocking chair that she and Bill found at a garage sale, and the tape player is on the floor. I'll try to tell it the way it felt, Abby, as if I were 16 again. Perfect, Mom. Things are always perfect with Abby. I may cry a bit, but don't worry about it, okay? Promise, no problem. I'll have to start with the dare. It'll take me a while to get to Grant Park. I'll start with the dare and then talk about the plane crash and Mama and then Ella May and the church. Abby rolls her eyes and smiles a half-patronizing, half-sympathetic smile. Just start, Mom. Just tell it. Then I think she realizes that this is not a simple thing she has asked. For her mother to go back almost 40 years to something very painful. So she gets up with difficulty and comes over to me and gives me a warm hug and kisses my cheek and whispers, "It really matters to me. After all, I wouldn't be here without your story. This is important." I close my eyes and try to put myself back into a schoolgirl's body. So much is still the same, and so much is completely different.